The joke and the irony of Dale Gribble's character is that he's a huge conspiracy theorist and suspicious of everyone except his wife Nancy, who for a good portion of the series is cheating on him with John Redcorn, and even has a son with John Redcorn that Dale is raising as his own child. But of course when it comes to Nancy, Dale is nothing but trusting. So why is that? Well, the short answer is because it's funny, which it is. There's also the theory that he is 100% entirely aware of it, but is intentionally raising Joseph as his own in order to spite John Redcorn, which I talked about in a video a while back. There's also a third theory that all of them are entirely aware of it and actually doing it on purpose because they're in like a consensual 3-person couple, but I'll talk about that later. For the intents of this video, let's assume that those theories are not true. So why is Dale so trusting, and does he know the truth? I actually used to think that he didn't, but recently I've changed my mind because of one very specific scene. In this season 7 scene, Dale describes a vision that he had.
There was an Indian. I couldn't see his face, but he was a big guy, about yay tall and yay wide, wearing a magnificent buffalo headdress. And he was making love to my wife.
Dale, I'm not sure.
Hold on, there's more. I suddenly found myself in a hospital, watching Nancy give birth to Joseph, except Joseph was wearing the exact same headdress as the faceless Indian. I fathered an Indian child, therefore I am an Indian.
Now, following with the more realistic tone of the show, the implication here is not actually that he really had a vision, but that he had a hallucination because he was so exhausted. I also think that if this was actually a true vision, then he maybe would have gleaned the correct message out of it instead of just making up his own message. So this is not otherworldly knowledge, this is something that he himself pulled from inside his brain. And he drastically misinterpreted it, but clearly somewhere in his brain is the seed of an idea that John Redcorn is the father. But instead what we see is an absolutely classic example of the way that Dale justifies this situation to himself. Anytime any evidence comes up that suggests Nancy may not be faithful or Joseph may not be his son, he will come up with the most ridiculous explanation to excuse it. Because Dale is just that trusting. He spends all his days just thinking about conspiracy theories and being paranoid about everything. So when he comes home, he probably doesn't really have much energy left. He just wants to trust his wife. We also see this play out in the episode Dogdale Afternoon, where Dale is so trusting of Hank and his friends that he needs to basically be beaten over the head with the fact that they did something wrong in order to believe them when they steal his lawnmower. And when he finally figures out the truth, he is absolutely crushed. So when it comes to Nancy, he is definitely blocking that severely. When coming to terms with the evidence that it would have been impossible for Nancy to become pregnant while Dale was out, he assumes that it must have been aliens. When he meets another child of John Redcorn's, Joseph's half-sister, he is more willing to believe that she's his son than that they have the same father who's someone else. It's classic cognitive dissonance. If you have two conflicting ideas in your head, such as that you love and trust your wife, but also that your son doesn't look like you, it's extremely common for people to make up all kinds of ridiculous reasons to justify it. And that is the sad, unfortunate world that Dale is living in. Deep, deep down, he knows the truth, but he just can't accept it because he is so trusting of Nancy, and she is the only bit of stability in his life.